Airgraph letters from World War II. What are they? What they are is the sender writes this letter on a blank one-page form, handwritten or typed. This person particularly typed it, and he got lots of information into it. That's checked by a censor and then postmarked. You can see the censor marking in the upper right and the postmark in the upper left. It's photographed with a camera, and the roll of film is sent with all the letters on the same film overseas. The letters are printed out from the film, inserted into a window envelope here for local distribution. And both the British and the American forces use this. Here's the window envelope and for it. And so you have to be very clear. It's interesting. The instructions say the addressee, the name has to be handwritten in block printing and cannot be typed. This person actually did both typed and then wrote it by hand on it. It started in 1941 and is a huge success in improving wartime communications. 350 million airgraphs is transmitted, and this is a British source, so I'm not sure if that included the American airgraphs too. Estimated film weight was about less than 50 tons, compared with 4,500 tons for regular mail.
So the purpose of this was basically to save space, I suppose?
Save weight on the airplanes.
Mm-hmm.
You still have to provide the envelopes at the end point.
Yes.
So you still need to ship the envelope somehow, but they don't have to necessarily go by airmail. They could be going by ship. The actual empty envelopes. The weight in the airplanes was the driving factor, obviously.
I'm reading about it, and they shrunk it onto microfilm. So it wasn't regular film, it was microfilm.
Okay.
That would explain the weight.
Mm-hmm.
And they're quite small. What you actually should, it's only 4 inches by 5 inches, but almost the size of my hand when it's printed out and delivered to the end user. The actual form looks like it's a proper 8.5 by 11 page because the type font is, you couldn't have a typewriter that could actually type that small font on a 4-inch page. The addressee is a Mr. Boss, a Lieutenant Boss. The sender was a major. They're both in this public relations section. Interesting, what he discusses is that the amount of traffic in Algeria, the amount of traffic in the city is amazing. And the Boulevard de Baudin, in its quiet hours, looks like Yonge Street between 4 and 5 p.m. Obviously, they're Canadians. They're talking about Yonge Street in Toronto, which can be very, very busy in that late afternoon stretch. And he also talks about the British, American, and French military vehicles of all kinds, sleek black civilian jobs. Some have been requisitioned by the army, but most are still in the hands of civilian owners. And these are driven by Arabs wearing bright red fezzes. There's also high square carts loaded with baskets of fruit and pulled by 2 or 3 horses. It's quite an interesting story. It's been censored, obviously, so there was nothing in it that would have any important military information. And I'm confused actually if he did actually send this while he was in Algeria or not until some other time later, but he certainly describes it as he's in Algeria now. And so I'm not sure where the actual photographing facilities were located, but that's the end of it. Interesting airgraph letters used in the World War II. And I can only assume that there's collectibles from the American side too.
Interesting. I wonder how many of these things survive.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure if they're on the market.
The processing of the film must be done in bulk. You know, that they develop a whole roll of film which might have hundreds of letters on it. So you could imagine that if it were all properly organized and done on a sort of assembly line basis, it could become rather efficient.
It was done in conjunction with Kodak, so they would send it to Kodak for all the processing.
And that's it. That's all.